Pew, finger guns. I don't know why, but sometimes finger guns are just necessary, Muse. Whatever. I just got my lettuce chopped. I went to the salon and got my lettuce chopped. So my thinky thinks are a little bit off because, you know, had this whole thing messed with. Maybe, maybe not. How do we know if chopping our hair off isn't affecting our brain? Today I want to talk to you about inspiration, Muse, and what inspired me to talk to you about inspiration is this. This is a CD. It's not just any CD. Look, it's number 6 of 275. It's a limited edition CD. And who are those two people on that cover? And here on the back cover, who are those two people? That's Grog and Drew. You remember them from The Dark Seduction and Dead Twin Sister? That's the new CD, One Bullet from Paradise. The book, Dead Twin Sister, wasn't actually initially inspired by that CD. The book was inspired by the song, Dead Twin Sister, written by Daiso Fluid and recorded by them. So, back when, after, I've already told you the story about, well, you know, the possibility that there may not have been a sequel to that book, the original book, The Dark Seduction. And then how I came upon the idea of the story through their song, Dead Twin Sister. That was the inspiration. And then when I talked to Grog about writing the next book, they allowed me to hear the demo of the new album, this album. This isn't the demo, but they sent me the demo of the new album so I could listen to it and allow it to kind of inspire and infect the new book. And it worked. The album it's a kick-ass album. Everybody should listen to it. Everybody should buy it. But it was interesting how the music and the lyrics, especially the music to the songs, how listening to that music kind of altered the course of the story. And I wanted to talk to you about this because I find that a lot of artists suffer from the ability to find inspiration. And inspiration is truly the springboard for art. If you can't discover, if you can't find inspiration, you're going to struggle to create. And when I was back many moons ago, I won't say when, but when I was back in graduate school, I was at Purdue University studying, getting my MFA in acting. MFA stands for Move the Furniture Asshole. I'm kidding, it doesn't. It stands for Master of Fine Arts. So I was there studying to get my MFA in acting, and one of my teachers, Richard Stockton Rand, was my movement teacher, and he was really my first role model that I ever had. And that class, his movement classes, changed me profoundly. Not just my skills as an actor, but his teachings changed me as a person. And I think if it weren't for Rich, I would not have quite understood the complexity and the depth of art. And how it has this innate ability to change the very nature of our lives and make us rethink what we consider to be our existence. It was a very deep class, and some of the best moments of the class were all of us just sitting around on the floor talking. Yes, there were all sorts of crazy movement experiments and tasks that we set out to do, but those discussions that we had, the discussions about art and the power of art, were beyond anything that I ever expected to come out of studying to be an actor. Because all of a sudden I felt like I was not just studying to be an actor, I was studying to be a human. And even more than that, I was studying to be an artist. And because of that, I think it is that reason why I hold being an artist on such a pedestal. Some writers they just consider themselves writers. They're authors, and that's that. And that's fine. I'm not condemning them for that. And some artists consider themselves kind of a cross between a business person and an artist, or a business person and a writer. I am an artist. And I hold that title very dearly to me. And I approach the idea of being an artist with great respect, because I feel like along with that title comes responsibility. And for me, and I mentioned this the other day in the comments of one of the other videos, that to me, artistic success comes when you accomplish the 3 E's of art: to educate, to entertain, and to enlighten. And every time I set out to write a book, I do so with the idea that that book has to do those 3 things. And if it does not do those 3 things, it has failed artistically. And of course, that doesn't mean it's going to either succeed or fail commercially. But for me, that is of utmost importance. And that's a tangent. But I'm okay with that. I'm good with tangents. But while I was in Richard Rand's movement classes, one of the single most important concepts that he offered us was the idea of finding inspiration. And that inspiration was this 360-degree thing. It was surrounded us everywhere. No matter where we went, no matter who we were, no matter what we were doing or who we were with, there was inspiration to be had. And I remember one day in class, it was springtime, I think, and Rich stopped class and he said, "Okay, I want everybody to go outside and find something that moves you. And you define what that move is. What is the idea of something moving you? Is it emotional? Is it mental, physical? What is that?" And so everybody just kind of walked out of the classroom outside and started searching around for something that moved them. And I will never in my life forget. I stepped outside and I allowed myself to just kind of open my vision up. And one of the things I always tell new writers is I open my eyes child wide, because I feel like children look at everything with such wonder, and everything is new and fresh. So I walked outside, opened my eyes up, and instead of searching for something, instead of looking about to try to find something to inspire me, I said, I'm just going to stand here and I'm going to allow inspiration to come to me. Because I had enough, because I was always like that. I was always constantly searching. I always felt like on a sidebar, there was a moment where in movement class where probably one of my biggest revelations was we had to at one point figure out what kind of dog we were. and we're moving about in the classroom trying to figure this out. And all of a sudden, I realized that, and this kind of harkens back to my childhood, that I was this energetic cocker spaniel. And that wasn't what was profound. What was profound about it was that I felt this dog was constantly reaching out for something, constantly searching for something. And then I realized in that moment that my center, my center of being was outside of my head. And that I was always trying to chase after that center. And it was then that I was able to go, okay, I need to figure out a way to pull that center into my body and make it a part of me. So I stepped outside of class that day and I realized I'm not going to chase it. I'm not going to chase the inspiration. I'm going to let inspiration come to me. So I stood there right outside the classroom door and I waited. And sometimes when you do that, when you go outside and you close your eyes and you just experience your surroundings, crazy things can, not crazy things, but amazing things can happen. And when I did that, I heard this kind of rustling sound. It was after a moment. I heard this rustling sound, rustling. And I realized that that's what I was waiting for. And I looked around and I didn't chase it. I looked around the area and I eventually found, and this was very moving to me. It really hit me hard. In the underbrush on the side of the building, there was a chipmunk that, for whatever reason, had been paralyzed and couldn't use his back legs, and it was pulling itself along the ground with its front legs. And I sat there and I watched this chipmunk exist. This handicapped chipmunk attempt to do his thing. And as I watched it, everything around me just disappeared. And the only thing that was there was that, me and that little microcosm of existence. And it hurt. It hurt me to watch that. Because in that instance, I kind of felt like the melding of nature and man was broken. And man, and this was just in that moment, man was the monster and we were in the wrong. And we had profoundly and permanently broken nature. And eventually I finally was able to kind of break away from it. And I walked back into the class and my instructor knew that something had hit me hard because I just sat there in silence. And when I finally was able to express this, it came out in tears and then he said, use it. And I improvised a moment in time, a fictional moment in time based on what I'd seen. And it was some of the best work I had done to that point. Because I opened myself up. I opened myself up to the world around me. And I allowed it to affect me deeply. And that's kind of what the existence of an artist is. It's like we have these huge amplifiers in our head that amplifies everything that comes to us. And it becomes very easy to turn that amplified inspiration into this giant metaphor for life. And so when I got the demo of this album, I was able to listen to it and read the lyrics and turn it into not just the words, but turn the sounds into a metaphor for what these two people, the tragedy that these two people suffered. and make it art. Take their art and have it infect my art. And that, to me, that distills the artistic inspiration down to its truest form. And there are days when it hurts. There are days when it's joyful. And then there are days when it's frightening. The days that it's frightening are mostly the days when you feel like no matter how much you open yourself up to the universe, that the inspiration doesn't come. And then you have to tell yourself, it'll come, it'll come. And I think that's one of the biggest dangers of being an artist, is chasing that inspiration. It's more important to let the inspiration come to you, because then it's natural, it's organic, it just happens. And then you can work with it. You're not forcing anything. Forced art, to me, forced art is a failed art. One of the best books that I read while working on my MFA was Zen and the Art of Archery. And I believe very firmly that every artist should read that book, because it explains to perfection the idea of just allowing inspiration to happen instead of forcing it. Something every artist needs to understand. Be you a writer, an actor, a musician, a sculptor, a painter, a designer, a director. Let inspiration come to you. I mean, I don't look at you, Muse, and yell, point a finger, and say, "Give me something to work with." I don't do that. I let you whisper in my ear. I let you speak your sweet nothings into my ear and say, I can do something with that. Because if I start yelling at you, if I start insisting that you give me something, you're going to turn your back on me. And that's not how I want to work. Right, Muse? Because you and I, we got something good going on here. Yeah. You and I work together well. And I'm lucky, and I appreciate that. Anyway, Muse, that's all I wanted to say about inspiration. And I hope that what I said to you, Muse, was enlightening, edifying, and entertaining. The 3 E's